expresSynth, the 12-voice quad VCO gestural expressional synth extravaganza.
Yeah, you don't have to read that out loud, mate. Nice.
Press the space button to start. Use the A, W, S, D.
Is it polyphonic?
It is polyphonic, yeah.
So I've read the instructions. I'm going to press the space bar, which is now leading me to the calibration page.
It needs to draw these shapes here that the GIFs are denoting to calibrate the gesture recognition.
Cool. So I hold the blue button and draw the shape.
That's right.
Does it matter at which point I start?
Yeah, if you see where the light goes, where the light goes on and off,
Oh, okay.
that's
left
where you
corner.
press it and then let go
Okay.
again. And watch the GIF. How's the calibration feeling?
It's feeling fine.
Were the instructions clear?
The instructions were clear.
Right, so you've almost finished the calibration.
I've almost finished.
Am I starting in the top right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, so you have to draw a shape to go into the right section. To the filter section?
Filters. Oh, nice.
There we go. Low res filter.
Low res filter.
So you got to press. Yeah. Cool. If you go down there, it's gone to low res. If you go back 2 times, so tap the red,
Yeah.
and then tap it again.
Oh, lovely.
If you go to the oscillator section,
Oscillator.
right, go back, try again.
Oh, there we go.
Alright, now if you go back 1,
With the red button.
yeah. Right, now if you draw the wave that you want, it will change to that waveform.
Go square, why not? Oh, wow. That's wicked.
Well, you see here, those controls, you can move them backwards and move them left and right, either left one by pressing the left one or the right, or the blue one or the red one. You can change the cutoff or the resonance of the filter. If you look down there, it's gone down slightly.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And still, but the harder you do it, the more it will go.
Oh, cool.
And then bring the cutoff higher again.
Sweet.
Keep going up, see how high you can get the cutoff. Back down, and then the resonance, try on the red button.
I just turned the resonance down.
Ah, resonance up again.
Sounded too squelchy.
Let's try making the LFO at around 10 hertz
Okay.
and a depth of around 0.5.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, choose a section.
I would like to choose the LFO Porter figure of 8 section, please, Tom.
Wait, okay.
How do I do that?
How do you think?
Do I do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was sick. Faster speed.
That was pretty cool though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, we're on 0.5. Let's get up to 10 hertz.
Okay. Nice.
Nice. Right,
Okay,
now let's go to, if you go back to the home page. So the speed's now at 13.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
use the red one to bring the depth up. or in there. Just bringing the LFO.
The depth is increasing.
You have to. Oh, I didn't actually see you got the information down there.
Yeah, the settings are at the bottom down there. In the LFO section now.
Yeah.
So as you see there, use the red button to change the depth, and the blue one for speed. So the depth there,
Right.
I'm going to make the depth a bit higher.
That's cool. That's awesome. So that's slowing down the LFO.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Increase the speed.
How's that?
The depth is at 0.74. If you add some speed to it.
Ah, so it's like the tremolo.
Yeah. So we're in the amp envelope. So if you play the pattern. So that's the release. If you press. So what do you want to change?
I want to make the release shorter.
And is it clear? From that, can you tell how to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I can see it comes up here. I want to make the attack time shorter.
Kind of works, yeah, like pushing it out. Like imagine a envelope goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
You press the blue one to push the envelope out, so it has a longer attack.
Okay.
So if you want to make the attack shorter, you have to bring it in a bit, and then if you want to make the release shorter, you bring that in as well from the right.
Okay, just press it and then like that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it there.
Is it like a scale thing, or will it literally just like, okay? Yeah, okay,
you
get
got it now.
Oh, no.
There we go. You just got to get the hang of like where to let go of the button. $3,000 milliseconds. Good. And that is if you want to add more options, which I don't know if you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Overall, like the aim of this synth was to make something that gave you a different way of controlling a synth, because quite a lot of synth interfaces on normal DAWs are really confusing.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely stripped it back to its raw being, like its raw basic form, literally being like two buttons and then movement. Like,
What did you think of it overall?
Overall, really enjoyable. When it worked, it was exciting.
It's more sort of like an intuitive interaction. It's not like just twisting and pushing
around with like a load of pots and stuff like that.
There's something quite satisfying about actually those buttons feel really nice and actually moving around. It does feel expressive. It's a refreshing change from using a keyboard or something. It's nice being able to move around.
Very neat. Everything was very neat, and the sound was good.
Cool. What do you think of like the method of control of the synth in general?
I did enjoy it. It was kind of a bit of a game and task about the whole thing. Yeah, getting it right kind of felt good, as opposed to just interacting with a knob or a slider. It's a lot more fun to kind of do a big shape and be kind of gestural about the whole thing.
I like the animations. You sort of know what's on there, but then maybe have like
Maybe
little
some
drop-down
diagrams
menus
to show
and
where
stuff?
it might
Or
take
like-
you or something.
Oh yeah, because it is supposed to work like that, isn't it?
As long as it's clear enough that you want to draw those shapes to get to those sections.
Okay.
Do you think it is?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you
The
find
layout
it
is all really
clear
clear,
or-
actually. I think my favourite aspect is the diagrams of each shape and what to do with your hands and the kind of motion within it. Everything, the way everything moves is quite enticing to look at.
I think the
It's
interface,
clear?
yes, and I like the design of it as well. Like,
Okay.
but yeah, I think it looks really smart.
I love this bit where you can see all the stuff happening.
I think this bit works well.
Yeah?
Well, it's clear as to what is going on with it.
Maybe a few more like prompts in terms of what to do. Like the home section when I first came on here, I wasn't sure what going into the oscillator like would do. Like, does it start the oscillator? How do I actually start the sound, for example?
I think with this, there needs to be a little bit more, or like a menu before it, just to say like this is what it is, or like a little demo thing.
But in terms of like actually changing, like when I went into the filters and the LFOs, that's really self-explanatory in terms of like do this and you'll have this change.
The different colours and the different controls as well. It's like it's kind of, it doesn't patronise you with too much information.
I like the how the button lights up when you need to press it. It's very informative.
And it kind of just gives just enough that you kind of have to just about work it out yourself.
I like the shapes. I think they're simple, yet different enough from each other.
Do you think over time there's enough information there that if you got to know it, you could operate it quite easily?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because it's quite sort of obvious gestures as well, like it's nice because you have that kind of correlation between the two.
After a while, you just know what the kind of motions are, I imagine, once you've kind of learnt it all, once it's calibrated to your particular kind of way of doing it. I imagine you can just like hang around, do some shapes and change some sound without anyone really knowing how you're doing it. I guess if you make bigger gestures, it's more obvious as to what you're changing.
What did you think of the controller?
I thought it was lovely. It's good because it's just two buttons. It's simple to use, but you've got a lot of like uses for it.
I love how it all relates to each other. I think it's very stylistic and thought through, and you haven't tried to be something it's not. You haven't used a PlayStation controller, which would have been a bit naff. You've used this, which is a delightful piece of design from the 1960s. Also, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I really love that it's red and blue. I think it all works together very well.
The control itself is nice. I'd like a bit more weight on it, personally.
You know the buttons light up.
The buttons light up.
It's a bit light and there's not quite enough power in there. But
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, look at that. That's great. Oh, I love bits like that.
Is it obvious that there's only one way to hold it?
Yeah. Maybe if you were left-handed, it would be the
Well, if
other
you're
hand. But you'd still hold it the same way. Yeah, no, it's quite a familiar sort of,
Yeah.
you know, like thing.
I actually really do like the controller.
Do you personally feel that some synths interfaces are confusing?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think this is less confusing if you got to know it a little bit better?
Yeah, potentially. It's a really different way of interfacing. I mean, a lot of the software synths that we use are made to look just like a hardware synthesizer, and you kind of assume, well, this is how we've always done it, so this must be the best way to do it, and I don't think that's necessarily true, so this is a really nice way of doing it. I think it's probably more user-friendly. Like, I could see this being like a better way for children to interact with it, because they've got the animations.
I think it probably has a more educational purpose, maybe.
Okay.
Kind of by doing an oscillating shape when you're doing it, it kind of reinforces that shape in someone's mind, and I think just a nice playful approach to kind of educating about the change of sound and waves.
The way that the program's like set out is more good for like educational purposes.
As a complete novice, I find it entertaining and educational about music and about computing.
I think this could be a really nice way of learning how to use synths.
If there was a way to also like use a gesture, like maybe a question mark, and then it will come up with some text about what it's actually doing to the wave, or how I don't know, more educational information if you do a question mark or something.
Okay.
Just like a help file. It's nice that that's not there straight away, so that you can play around with it. But it'll be nice if you could unlock more information about what you're doing. It'll be nice if there was a visualization of the wave, so that every action that you make on it would change. So, for example, when we swapped waves from sine wave to square wave, instead of seeing an oscillating wave, it just cut straight away to the square wave that you need. And also, like when you make it shorter or longer, it gets shorter and longer.
Okay.
I think that'd be it'll just be nice to get as visual proof that you're changing it as you're going along.
Say in Ableton or something like that, you were able to like MIDI map these different gestural things. So say like you could draw, you know, in Wekinator,
Yeah.
how you can do like gestural stuff like that, but then have that being controlling different parameters on like a synth within Ableton or different effects within Ableton. I think that'd be really cool. That'd be really, really cool if you could do that.
Because it's quite sort of obvious gestures as well. Like it's nice because you have that kind of correlation between the two.
Do you think it could ever be an alternative to the synths you find in Logic or Ableton?
Yeah, I could see it more so in Ableton. I think as a performance tool, it's really cool. Again, because of like how expressive you can be with it, and it's a very visual controller as well. So when you are performing on stage, it's something that the audience can really see what you're doing.
Do you think you could get used to using it over time?
I think
If it was all kind of cleared up.
if it was less buggy, I think for live performance and stuff like that, I think it'd be quite cool to use. Like, I feel like it could be used in a more impressive way. I like the idea of it sort of being waved around. I think for production and stuff like that, I don't think it's that useful, but I feel for performance, I think it's definitely got like a good space there. Good.
This is your standard Logic synth. This is mine.
You're more likely to play around with it and more likely to learn different sounds. I think I'd be more likely to try it out than I would on this. This isn't very inspiring to the novice.
Which one would you rather use?
I'd much rather use the expresSynth. It's more physical, and I like how sounds can relate to a physical movement. I find it fun. It's more interactive.
So on the one where you made the notes longer and shorter,
Yes,
that you really enjoyed,
I really enjoyed that one a lot.
what did you do?
I had to do this like a frisbee.
Yes, correct. Excellent. Now on this really cool, colourful thing here, you do that.
Ugh. Boring.
Which one would you rather do?
Why ask the question, really? Of course, I'd rather use the expresSynth.